The cold of space stretched endlessly around the Valari convoy. Their ships were damaged and flickering with warning lights. Captain Lysara stood on the bridge of the largest ship, the Silver Echo, and stared at the viewports. The stars felt empty, silent, and cruel. Her people, once proud members of the Galactic Union, were now fugitives, abandoned by the very beings they had once trusted. "The Union will not help us," Lysara said quietly. Her voice echoed softly in the empty bridge. "They do not want the infected in their perfect worlds." Her second-in-command, Terran, a young Valari engineer with bright blue eyes that reflected the cold of space, shook his head. "We cannot stop drifting. Supplies will run out soon. We have to find a safe place." Lysara's hands tightened on the control rail. She had hoped for a place to hide, a world where her people could rest and recover. Every star system they passed was either too hostile, too empty, or forbidden. Fear and exhaustion weighed on the crew like a heavy cloak. The Valari were not weak. They were clever, fast, and had technology far beyond human imagination. But the plague had changed everything. Their bodies were sick, their minds full of anxiety. The disease attacked both flesh and nerve, leaving survivors weak and frightened. Even their advanced shields and weapons felt useless when the sickness spread. Terran adjusted the ship's sensors. "Captain, there is a human signal ahead." "Small ships leaving a blue planet," Lysara frowned. "Humans?" The Galactic Union often called them primitive and dangerous. They were unpredictable, violent, and yet strangely alive. The Union never considered humans worth helping or even trusting. Most species stayed away from Earth, fearing chaos. But desperation had no choice. Lysara gave the order. "We will approach. Prepare the shields. Keep them ready for anything." The convoy moved slowly toward the solar system. Inside the ships, the Valari whispered among themselves, full of fear and doubt. They had been cast out by every member of the Union. To turn to humans felt almost shameful. But the alternative was death. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Jack Morgan stood in the control room of Orbital Command Station Horizon, orbiting above the planet. His eyes scanned the incoming signals, unfamiliar and erratic. "Unidentified ships approaching the solar system," the young officer beside him said. "They are sending distress signals." "The signal patterns? We've never seen anything like this." Jack rubbed his forehead. "Plot their course. Slow them down if possible. We do not know what they carry." The officers around him were tense. The Galactic Union had warned humanity to avoid contact with alien refugees. The humans were young in the galaxy. Many leaders argued that Earth should stay isolated, that aliens were dangerous, and that they could bring war. But Jack Morgan was not like most leaders. He believed in helping others. "We do not leave anyone to die," he said firmly. "Prepare the retrieval team. Get medical units ready. If they are alive, we bring them in." The human ships moved carefully toward the approaching convoy. The Valari ships, seeing the humans for the first time, paused. They expected hostility, weapons pointed at their weak hulls, or a cold refusal to help. Instead, human ships approached slowly, shields raised in a careful, non-threatening pattern. Jack's voice came over the universal translator. "This is Commander Jack Morgan of Earth. We are here to help. Lower your shields and let us board if you need aid." The Valari were stunned. Lysara could not hide her disbelief. They are offering help without hesitation," she whispered to Terran. They could be lying," Terran said. "The Union never showed mercy. They only punished." Lysara shook her head. "No, I think this is real. We have no choice. Prepare to respond." The Valari opened a channel. Lysara's voice was weak but firm. We accept your assistance. We are dying." Jack's face softened. "Stay calm. We are on our way." Human boarding crews arrived in small shuttles. They moved with care, scanning the Valari ships for hazards. The Valari looked at the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Humans were strange creatures, soft, fragile, and oddly emotional. They talked to each other quietly, but their eyes shone with determination. Terran watched as a human engineer carefully repaired a damaged engine console. "They do not panic," he whispered. "They do not fear. Even with danger, they do what must be done." Lysara felt a strange warmth in her chest. The Valari had been abandoned for so long, treated as outcasts, punished for their illness. No one had offered kindness in years. Seeing humans act without calculation or caution was new. In the coming hours, the humans helped stabilize the Valari ships. They transferred the sick to medical shuttles, provided clean water and nutrients, and repaired broken communication arrays. Lysara walked among her people, silently observing the humans. They moved with a purpose, yet they smiled at small things. Even the fearful Valari children who peeked from damaged cabins. One human doctor, a woman named Elena Brooks, knelt beside a Valari child with purple-tinted skin. "It's okay," she said gently. "We will take care of you." The child blinked, unsure what to feel, then leaned into her care. Jack Morgan watched from his command shuttle. He knew the Galactic Union would call this reckless. He knew leaders on Earth would question his decision, but in his heart he felt certain that helping the Valari was right. "No one dies under our watch," he said quietly. By nightfall, the Valari ships had been stabilized enough to follow the human convoy. The humans guided them toward Lunar Station Avalon, a large medical and refugee hub orbiting the moon. Lysara looked out at the distant planet below. The blue and green orb seemed fragile, full of life she had never trusted, yet it now represented hope. Terran leaned beside her. "Captain, they are different. They are not perfect like the Union, but I think they might be better." Lysara nodded slowly. "Yes, they do not judge. They do not abandon. Perhaps we are finally safe." The journey to Avalon was tense but quiet. Humans maintained careful formation around the Valari ships, shielding them from debris and other hazards. The Valari could not help but notice the humans' resourcefulness. A simple repair on a Valari engine, done in human style, worked better than many of their own complex systems. When they arrived at Avalon, the Valari were guided into secure docking bays. The humans had already prepared medical beds, clean suits, and food replicators. The sight was overwhelming. Lysara had never imagined such care. Dr. Elena Brooks came forward with a gentle smile. "Welcome," she said. "You are safe here. We will help you recover." Some Valari murmured in disbelief. "Are they tricking us? Will they experiment on us?" asked an elder, his voice trembling. Lysara raised her hand. "No, look around. Their actions speak louder than words. Watch them. They offer aid because they choose to, not because they must. This is new." Humans and Valari worked together to unload supplies. The Valari children slowly began to laugh, pointing at strange human food and toys. Terran helped a human mechanic, Lisa Ward, repair a shuttle engine. Lisa looked at him and smiled. "Not bad for someone who has been sick," she said. For the first time in years, Lysara felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was a place in the galaxy where her people could belong. A place where they would not be judged for weakness or illness. A place where compassion was stronger than fear. That night, as the Valari rested in clean beds aboard Avalon, Lysara stood at a viewport looking at the moon. She whispered to herself, "The galaxy cast us out. But perhaps humanity will take us in." Terran stood beside her. "Do you think it is safe to hope?" Lysara smiled faintly. "Yes. For the first time, it is safe to hope." Outside, the stars continued to shine coldly, as if mocking the fragile lives below. But inside Avalon, warmth, light, and life were growing. The humans had shown the Valari that even in a galaxy that could be cruel, kindness could survive, and perhaps one day it could change everything. And in that moment, humanity proved a simple truth to a species abandoned by all. Strength is not only measured by weapons or technology, but by the courage to help those who cannot help themselves. The Valari slept that night with fear replaced by wonder. They were not safe forever, but for now, for the first time in years, they were alive, and that was enough. The Valari slowly began to recover at Lunar Station Avalon. The station was large, bright, and busy, full of humans moving in calm, purposeful ways. Machines hummed softly, lights glowed gently along corridors, and medical teams moved with quiet efficiency. For the Valari, it was unlike anything they had known. Their world had always been orderly but cold. The Union treated them like tools, not beings. Here they felt different. Dr. Elena Brooks moved from one medical bay to another, checking on the sick. Her hands were steady and her voice was soft. "How are you feeling today?" she asked a Valari patient whose skin was pale and patchy from illness. The Valari whispered. "Better. I think better," Elena smiled. "Good, that is what we want. You will be well soon." Captain Lysara walked the corridors, observing her people. Some were quiet, fearful, and still suspicious. Others looked around with wonder, amazed by the human's care. Every few steps she stopped to watch a human helping a Valari child. or repairing broken equipment with careful hands. Taryn worked with Lisa Ward, a human mechanic, in a repair bay. Lisa laughed softly as she tightened a panel. "Not bad for someone who has been sick," she said. Taryn blinked. "I have not repaired anything in weeks. I forgot what it felt like to work." Lisa shook her head. "You remembered. You just needed a safe place." For Taryn, the words felt strange. Safe place. The Valari had not known safety in a long time. The Union had cast them out, and the plague had stolen much of their strength. Yet here humans did not judge them. Humans only acted to help. Meanwhile, Jack Morgan moved through Avalon quietly. He visited medical bays, spoke with Valari elders, and checked the station's defenses. The Galactic Union had warned humanity to stay away from refugees, but Jack ignored the warnings. He believed no life should be abandoned, no matter how small or strange it seemed. Some humans questioned him. Why risk everything for them? One officer asked, "The Union could punish Earth. We are not ready for war." Jack shook his head. "Compassion is never a risk. It is a strength. If we can save these lives, we must. That is who we are." Lysara watched from the side, listening. She had expected humans to be cautious, hesitant, or even cruel. But Jack's words were different. There was no calculation, no fear, only determination. And for the Valari, determination was rare. Most of their leaders would have argued for surrender or avoidance. Humans, however, acted with courage and kindness. In the days that followed, trust began to grow. The Valari started to speak more openly with humans. They shared stories of their homeworlds, of cities that floated among the clouds, of forests with trees taller than mountains. Humans listened, wide-eyed, amazed by a species so different from their own. Dr. Brooks focused on the medical challenge. The plague had altered Valari biology, and traditional treatments were only partially effective. She studied their cells, compared them with human physiology, and experimented carefully with new techniques. Every night she stayed in the lab, determined to find a cure. Captain Lysara visited the lab one evening. "You work too hard," she said quietly. Elena looked up, smiling faintly. "I cannot rest until your people are safe. I do not know your illness, but I will find a way." Lysara nodded. "You are different from anyone I have known. You care without thought of reward." Elena shook her head. "We care because it is right, because no one should die alone or afraid." Outside the lab, children played in a large recreation area. Human volunteers had set up games and lessons to keep the Valari occupied and teach them about Earth culture. A young Valari girl named Nira laughed as she tried to balance on a spinning wheel, while human children clapped and cheered. Taryn watched quietly. "They are strange. Fragile, yes, but they have joy. Even in danger, even in uncertainty, they celebrate life." Lisa came over and smiled. "That is what makes us strong. We do not give up on hope, even when everything seems lost." The Valari slowly began to see a truth they had almost forgotten. Strength was not only in technology or intellect. It was in courage and compassion, in the ability to help others even when the odds were against you. Humans had this in abundance, but not everything was simple. News from the wider galaxy arrived through communication channels. The Galactic Union had noticed the Valari in human care. Their messages were cold, demanding, and threatening. "Return the Valari immediately," the Union commander said in a clipped broadcast. "You have no authority to harbor fugitives. Compliance is required or Earth will face sanctions." The humans listened, but Jack Morgan remained calm. He addressed his officers. "They are asking us to abandon lives. That is not an option. We do not surrender the helpless." Many humans were nervous. Earth was not yet a major power. The Union's fleets were vast, and their ships could easily overwhelm human defenses. But Jack's resolve did not waver. "If compassion is rebellion, then let us rebel," he said. The Valari, hearing the messages, felt fear once more. Some whispered that humans could not possibly defend them. Others wondered if they had been too trusting. Lysara called a meeting of her leaders. "They could be risking everything for us," she said. "They do not fear the Union as we might. They act because it is right. This is new. This is something we have never known." Taryn looked around the room, eyes wide. "I do not understand it fully. Humans are weak, fragile, unpredictable, yet I feel safer here than I have in years." "Then trust them," Lysara said softly. "We have no other choice." As days passed, Valari began to help humans around the station. They shared knowledge of starship repair, alien medicine, and navigation techniques. Humans listened eagerly, impressed by the Volari skill. Yet even as they learned, humans demonstrated creativity in ways the Volari had not seen. A simple fix for a broken engine part, a clever way to recycle damaged supplies, a system to keep the sick comfortable. They marveled at human ingenuity. One evening, Jack walked through the medical bays and paused to watch Dr. Brooks working with Taryn. She was explaining a human immune reaction that could help treat the Volari plague. "If we combine this with Volari cells, we might find a cure," she said. Taryn looked at her in wonder. "Your people. You are strong. Not like the Union. Strong in ways I did not know existed." Elena smiled faintly. "Strength is not only weapons or shields. It is the will to help others. It is hope." Word of the humans' care began to spread. Some Volari whispered about the difference between humans and the Union. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but their courage was undeniable. They acted without expectation of reward. They risked themselves for others. For many Volari, this was a revelation. Lysara found herself telling her people stories of the humans' actions, repeating the phrase she had begun to believe. "The galaxy cast us out, but humanity has taken us in." Meanwhile, the station grew busier. Human volunteers and scientists worked around the clock, repairing ships, studying Volari biology, and preparing for possible Union interference. The Volari, once passive and fearful, began to contribute. Taryn and Lisa repaired communication arrays, while Nira and other children learned basic engineering from human tutors. One day, Lysara walked outside on a viewing platform. The moon's surface glowed softly below, and Earth hung in the sky like a blue jewel. Taryn joined her. "Do you think it is wise to trust them fully?" he asked. Lysara looked at the humans working below, carrying supplies, guiding sick Volari, smiling at children, and repairing ships. "I do not know if it is wise," she said, "but it feels right. They care for us because it is right. That is something I have not seen in a long time." Taryn nodded slowly. "Then we must try. If they fail, we will face the galaxy alone. But if they succeed, perhaps there is hope for our people yet." Even as they spoke, alarms sounded across Avalon. A new message from the Galactic Union arrived. The warning was sharper this time. "Leave the Volari or face consequences. You have been warned." Jack Morgan read the message and set it aside. He did not panic. "They are afraid," he said to his officers. "Afraid that we might show what it means to be strong in ways they cannot control." The Volari heard this and felt a strange warmth. For the first time, a species outside their own showed courage not through fear or dominance, but through care, compassion, and steadfastness. They were beginning to understand what humans meant when they spoke of strength. As night fell over Avalon, the Volari gathered in small groups. Children played quietly, elders whispered, and young adults repaired equipment. Lysara walked the corridors one last time before resting, watching humans and Volari working side by side. Perhaps she thought the galaxy was cruel, and perhaps many species would turn away. But here, in the small, bright station orbiting the moon, there was safety. There was hope. There was life. And for the Volari, abandoned and broken, it was enough. Life at Lunar Station Avalon had begun to settle into a careful routine. The Volari were learning to trust the humans more each day. Children laughed in the recreation halls. Elders shared stories of lost worlds with patient listeners, and engineers worked together to repair damaged ships. For the first time in years, the Volari felt hope. Captain Lysara watched as Taryn worked alongside Lisa Ward, a human mechanic. Together they were rebuilding a small shuttle that could carry supplies from Avalon to Earth. Taryn had never thought he would work with a human so closely, yet he found her calm confidence comforting. "They are different," he said softly to Lysara. "I do not understand them fully, but they are strong in ways the Union cannot see." Lysara nodded. "Yes, they care. They do not abandon those in need. That is strength we have forgotten." In the medical bays, Dr. Elena Brooks was making progress on the Volari plague. She had studied the disease for weeks, analyzing Volari cells alongside human cells, and she was beginning to understand the strange ways it attacked. The Volari were curious about her work, watching as she experimented carefully, but they also began to contribute knowledge from their own biology. "We can adapt faster than you think," Taryn told her one day. "Our bodies remember. Your work is helping us, but we also remember what to do. Elena smiled. Then together we can find a cure. You do not need to be afraid anymore. Outside Avalon, the solar system felt calm, but tensions were growing. The Galactic Union had sent messages repeatedly, warning humanity to return the Villari immediately. Each message was sterner than the last, threatening punishment, blockade, and isolation. Jack Morgan had read each message, and each time he felt more certain that they must stand their ground. He called a meeting with his officers. They are trying to scare us, he said. The Villari are not property. They are living beings. We cannot surrender them. We will prepare for any action the Union takes, but we will not back down. Some officers were nervous. Sir, the Union has fleets that could destroy Avalon and Earth's defenses. Are you sure it is worth the risk? Jack looked at them steadily. It is worth every risk. If we abandon them, we betray the very idea of life itself. If we protect them, we show what humanity is capable of. The Villari heard about the Union threats. Many were afraid, and some wondered if they had trusted humans too much. Nira, a young Villari girl, clung to her mother, asking if the humans could really protect them. They will, Lysara said. We have seen their courage. We have seen their care. Humans do not act out of fear. They act out of hope. That is something we have never known. In the coming days, humans and Villari began to prepare. They repaired ships and built new defenses. Engineers worked day and night to strengthen Avalon's shields. Scientists prepared medical stations in case the Villari were attacked. Pilots trained together, learning each other's strengths. Humans were creative and unpredictable, while the Villari had speed and precision. Together, they were learning to work as a team. Terran flew with Lisa on a test run. The shuttle moved smoothly through the station's outer corridors. Your people are clever, Terran said. You see solutions in ways we never could. Lisa laughed softly. That's what makes us human. We adapt, we survive, and we help those who need us. The Villari began to see why humans had survived so long despite being weaker in many ways. They were resourceful, persistent, and willing to take risks for the sake of others. Every act of kindness, every clever fix, every selfless choice impressed the Villari deeply. Dr. Brooks finally had a breakthrough. She discovered a way to boost Villari immunity using a combination of human and Villari cells. It was a slow process, and some Villari were skeptical, but she explained carefully. This will not only treat the disease, she said. It will help your bodies fight it completely. You will be strong again. Captain Lysara watched the Villari volunteers step forward to receive treatment. Fear mixed with hope, and slowly they began to see that humans could not fail them. Even in the face of uncertainty, humans acted with courage and determination. But the peace was fragile. The Union's messages became sharper. Ships had been detected moving toward the solar system, fleets large enough to enforce their demands. Avalon's sensors picked up the outlines of massive Union vessels, their weapons cold and silent. Jack called a meeting with Lysara and the other Villari leaders. They are coming, he said. We do not need to panic, but we must be ready. We will defend this station. We will protect your people, and we will do it together. The Villari were amazed. You will fight them? Your people are small and fragile. You could not possibly win, one elder said. Jack smiled faintly. Strength is not only weapons and numbers, it is courage, creativity, and the will to protect others. We may be smaller, but we are not powerless. And we do not fight alone. The Union's fleets approached slowly, their presence heavy and threatening. Humans and Villari worked side by side, preparing defenses, strengthening shields, and readying small shuttles. Every Villari soldier and engineer contributed, guided by human ingenuity and tactics. Terran worked on a communications relay with Lisa. Do you think they will attack? He asked. They might, Lisa said. But even if they do, we will not let them win. We protect what is right. At the same time, Dr. Brooks continued her work on the cure, preparing doses for all Valari aboard Avalon. "We will fight for our lives, and we will heal for the future," she said. For the first time, Valari began to see humans as heroes. They were not perfect, but they were brave, kind, and willing to risk everything for those who could not defend themselves. This was something the Valari had never seen in the Union. Nira watched human children helping Valari children learn games and songs. "They are strange," she said quietly to another Valari girl. "But they make me feel safe." The elder smiled. "Perhaps there is more to strength than we knew. Perhaps humans are what the galaxy has always needed." As the Union fleets drew closer, tension filled the air. Humans and Valari worked through the night, reinforcing Avalon's defenses and preparing evacuation plans. Every moment was a test of patience, skill, and courage. Jack Morgan walked through the station, checking on humans and Valari alike. He stopped to watch Taryn and Lisa fixing a damaged shield generator. "You two make a good team," he said. Taryn nodded. "She shows me things I never imagined. Humans are clever, even when small and weak." Lisa laughed. "Strength is not just size or power. It is the choice to act, to help, to fight for what is right." The Valari began to understand this truth. Strength was not only measured in weapons or numbers, but in courage, compassion, and creativity. Humans had these qualities in abundance. Finally, the Union issued an ultimatum: surrender the Valari within 72 hours or face consequences. Avalon's alarms rang as the message repeated in every corridor. Jack read it aloud. "They think we will surrender. They do not understand us. We do not abandon the helpless. We will fight if we must." The Valari listened. Fear mingled with hope. For the first time, they realized that humans were different from the rest of the galaxy. They acted not out of fear or control, but out of care and courage. Captain Lysara looked at her people. "Prepare yourselves. We may face danger soon. But remember this: humanity has chosen to stand with us. They risk themselves for our survival. We have allies we never imagined." Taryn nodded slowly. "I do not understand everything about humans, but I trust them. And if they fight for us, we will fight with them." As night fell over Avalon, the station glowed softly in the darkness of space. Humans and Valari worked side by side, learning, healing, and preparing for the unknown. Outside, the Union fleets waited, silent and threatening, but inside there was hope. And for the Valari, abandoned by the galaxy, that hope was more powerful than fear. Humanity had shown them a truth they had almost forgotten. Courage, compassion, and the willingness to protect others could be stronger than any fleet or weapon. In that quiet, tense night, Lysara whispered to Taryn, "If they fail, we will face the galaxy alone. But if they succeed, perhaps we will survive." Taryn looked at the humans moving confidently through the station, repairing, healing, and preparing. "Then we will survive," he said. "We will fight, and we will live." The stars outside Avalon remained cold and distant, but inside the station, life and determination burned brightly. For the first time in years, the Valari could hope. And hope, as they began to see, was a kind of strength the galaxy could not take away. The first sight of the Union fleet sent a chill through Avalon. Dozens of massive ships hovered at the edge of the solar system, their dark hulls glinting in the light of distant stars. They moved slowly, deliberately, as if counting the seconds until humanity surrendered. Captain Lysara stood at the viewport, her hands pressed against the cool glass. Taryn was beside her, tense and silent. "They have come," he whispered. "They could destroy us in an instant." "They may be stronger, faster, and bigger," Lysara said quietly. "But they do not have what humans have. They do not have courage. They do not have care. That may make all the difference." On Avalon, Commander Jack Morgan moved swiftly from room to room, checking defenses and rallying his people. Engineers, medics, and pilots worked tirelessly, guided by his steady voice and calm confidence. "Do not panic," he said to a group of young recruits. "We are not just defending a station. We are defending life itself. Remember that. Remember why we fight? The Valari looked around in awe. These humans, fragile and unarmed compared to the Union, were preparing without fear. They worked together with the Valari, combining knowledge and skill. Even the children were learning to help, carrying supplies or delivering messages. Dr. Elena Brooks worked in the medical bay, preparing the cure she had developed for the Valari plague. She coordinated with Valari volunteers, carefully administering doses and monitoring progress. "We will not let them die," she said firmly. "Not now, not ever." Lysara walked through the corridors watching the humans. They were different from any species she had ever known. They did not fear the Union. They did not calculate each move. They simply acted. They fought for what was right, and they did so with determination and hope. The Union fleet opened a channel, their voices cold and mechanical. "Surrender the Valari immediately or your station and planet will be destroyed." "You have no choice," Jack Morgan responded calmly. "We do not surrender the helpless. Avalon is under human protection. We will defend these people and we will do it together." A murmur ran through the Valari. Could humans truly defend them against such a force? Lysara looked around at her people, some pale with fear, others determined despite the danger. "They are not alone," she said, "and neither are we." The first shots were fired when a Union scout approached the station too closely. The humans did not hesitate. Shuttles and fighters launched from Avalon, moving in formation with Valari pilots. Lasers and energy pulses streaked across the black of space. Terran gripped the controls of his ship, his heart racing. "They are stronger, faster." Lisa Ward smiled beside him. "So are we. Stay calm, follow the plan, and watch each other's backs." The Union fleet moved with precision, but humans were unpredictable. They dodged and weaved using every trick, every tactic they had developed in years of small conflicts and exercises. Valari pilots, accustomed to strict protocols, were amazed by their adaptability. "Your people," Terran shouted over the comms. "They do not follow rules. They think for themselves." Lisa laughed, firing a pulse that disabled a Union drone. "That's the point. Rules are for those who cannot imagine new ways. Humans can imagine." Back at Avalon, Jack Morgan coordinated the defense. He moved from console to console, directing shuttles, managing shields, and communicating with pilots. Every move was calculated yet flexible, and every human and Valari worked together seamlessly. Dr. Brooks monitored the Valari receiving the cure. "They are strong again," she said. "We can heal them while we fight." The battle raged for hours. The Union fleet was vast and powerful, but humans fought with courage, protecting the Valari at every turn. Ships were damaged and repaired, shuttles dodged fire, and Valari and humans flew together as one. Every time a Union vessel tried to attack, a human ship was there to block it, to defend life instead of destroy. Terran watched in disbelief as humans rescued Valari ships in the middle of the fight. "They risk everything," he shouted. "They are weaker. They could die." Lisa smiled grimly. "We fight for more than ourselves. That is why we survive." Lysara looked at Avalon from the observation deck. The station shook under the occasional strike, but it held firm. Shields glowed, engines hummed, and the combined effort of humans and Valari kept the station alive. For the first time, she understood something vital. Strength was not only in weapons or numbers, but in courage, compassion, and determination. In the medical bays, Dr. Brooks made one final adjustment to the cure, preparing a full dose for every Valari aboard Avalon. "You will be safe," she said. "We will see to it." Union commanders grew frustrated. They had never faced a species that acted not out of fear but out of hope and care. Their calculations failed to predict human behavior. Their fleet, vast as it was, could not adjust fast enough. Jack Morgan received a message from the Union leader. "You will regret defying us," the voice said coldly. Jack smiled faintly. "We do not act out of fear. We act because it is right. That is something you will never understand." As night fell over the moon, the battle continued. Humans and Valari moved together like a single organism. Pilots covered each other. Engineers repaired damaged ships and medics kept the sick alive. Every act of courage inspired another, and hope spread like a light through the darkness of space. Terran and Lisa piloted their shuttle through a dangerous corridor, firing at Union drones while guiding a group of Valari vessels to safety. "Keep calm," Lisa shouted. "We have this. Watch each other." Terran smiled despite the fear. They are amazing. I never thought beings could act like this. Not for power, not for control. Only for others. Exactly, Lisa said. That is what makes us human. At Avalon, Captain Lysara watched the battle unfold on the monitors. Humans and Valari fought side by side, risking everything to protect life. She realized that this was more than survival. This was a lesson, a demonstration of what courage and compassion could achieve together. Hours passed, and slowly, the Union fleet began to retreat. They had underestimated humans. They could not comprehend the strength of will, the creativity, and the care that drove them. Every ship disabled, every strategy countered, forced them to pull back. Jack Morgan exhaled deeply as the last of the Union ships disappeared into the distance. We held them, he said quietly. We defended life, and we did not back down. The Valari cheered, some crying, some laughing. Terran looked at the human pilots around him and felt a deep sense of awe. They are not perfect, he said softly, but they are incredible. Dr. Brooks moved through the bays, checking on the Valari. Every patient had received the cure, and every Valari was stronger, healthier, and more hopeful than before. You are safe now, she said. Captain Lysara gathered her people. The Union feared us, and they feared humanity, she said. But together we have shown them something new. Courage, care, and determination. These are stronger than any fleet. We are alive because they chose to protect us. Terran nodded. I understand now. Strength is not only in power. It is in the choice to protect, to help, and to act for others. Humans have shown us that. Jack Morgan looked at the stars beyond Avalon. This is only the beginning, he said. The galaxy will notice what has happened here. Perhaps it will change how others see us, how they see life itself. The Valari, once abandoned, once broken, had survived. They had been protected not by superior firepower, but by human courage and compassion. They began to understand that their new allies were unlike any species in the galaxy. Humans did not follow orders blindly. They did not act for control. They acted for life. As Avalon hummed with repairs, celebrations, and quiet relief, Captain Lysara whispered to Terran, "The galaxy cast us out, but humanity saved us. Perhaps, just perhaps, the future is brighter than we imagined." Terran looked at the humans repairing ships, helping the wounded, and laughing with Valari children. Yes, he said. For the first time we are not alone, and that is everything. Outside the stars continued to shine, cold and distant, but Avalon glowed with warmth and life. Humans and Valari had survived the first test, and in that survival, they had proven something the galaxy had not seen before. Courage and compassion could be stronger than fear, and life itself was worth fighting for. The Union fleet had retreated, but the tension in Avalon remained. The station had been damaged, some ships were still in repair, and the Valari were recovering from the battle. Yet the fear that had haunted them for so long was replaced by something new: hope. Captain Lysara walked through the corridors, observing her people. Children laughed quietly as they played. Elders spoke of the humans with gratitude, and young Valari engineers repaired broken equipment alongside humans. She felt a deep sense of wonder. We have survived, she said quietly to Terran. Not by ourselves, but because humans chose to protect us. Terran nodded, still amazed. I never thought beings could be like this. They are fragile, yes, but they have courage and they care. That is more than the Union ever had. Jack Morgan moved through the station, checking on both humans and Valari. The station had survived because people had worked together, trusting one another. He smiled as he saw pilots laughing with engineers, doctors comforting patients, and children learning together. Humanity had faced the galaxy and stood firm. Dr. Elena Brooks continued her work with the Valari cure. With the battle over, she was able to focus on finishing the final treatments. Every Valari aboard Avalon received the medicine, and slowly strength returned to their bodies. Some were still weak, but hope filled their hearts. Lysara gathered the Valari leaders in the observation room. We have been cast out by the galaxy, yet we are alive, she said. Humans have protected us. They have shown us what strength really means. We owe them more than we can say. Terran added quietly. They fight not for power, but for life. They act because it is right. That is something we have never seen before. Outside Avalon, the Union fleets were withdrawing further into deep space. Their pride had been wounded and they had underestimated humanity. Other species in the galaxy had begun to take notice. Messages arrived from distant systems, asking questions about Earth's courage, its willingness to protect the helpless, and the cooperation between humans and Valari. Jack received one such message and read it aloud to his officers. "They are asking if humans are really the protectors they claim to be," he said. "They are watching us. The galaxy is watching." Some officers looked worried. "Sir, that could bring more trouble." "The Union may return with greater force." Jack shook his head. "Then let them come. We will continue to do what is right. That is the only way to be strong." Meanwhile, the Valari children were exploring the station, learning games and songs from human children. Nira laughed as she tried to mimic a human dance, while others ran through the corridors with joy. Even elders began to smile more freely, seeing the new life that had begun aboard Avalon. Terran repaired a communications relay with Lisa Ward. "I never thought working with humans would be enjoyable," he admitted. Lisa smiled. "It is not just enjoyable. It is how we survive. We adapt, we create, and we protect each other." The Valari leaders decided to hold a meeting with the humans to discuss the future. Captain Lysera addressed Jack Morgan and his team. "You have risked everything for us," she said. "We do not know how to repay such courage, but we wish to work together. Perhaps our species can learn from one another." Jack nodded. "That is the point. We are stronger together. We can teach and we can learn, and we will continue to protect each other." Plans were made to establish joint patrols. Humans would teach the Valari about Earth's technology, defense strategies, and medical techniques, while the Valari would share knowledge of advanced propulsion, energy shields, and space navigation. Both species learned quickly from each other, their strengths complementing one another. The Union had not been completely defeated, but the first battle had shown that humans could stand against impossible odds. Stories of bravery and cooperation began to spread through the galaxy, showing that compassion and courage could change the course of history. Terran looked at the repaired Valari ships, now ready to explore and settle new worlds. "I never thought we would see this," he said. "We are alive and stronger than before." Lysara placed her hand on his shoulder. "It is not just strength of the body, Terran. It is strength of heart. The humans have shown us that, and we must carry it forward." Dr. Brooks walked through the bays, checking on the last patients. "You will recover fully," she told the Valari, "and you will have allies who will fight with you no matter what comes next." Even the Union fleet far away began to question its own rules. Other species had seen what humanity had done. They had protected the weak, acted without fear, and fought with courage that no calculation could predict. Slowly, cracks began to appear in the Union's authority. Some species considered leaving the Union, inspired by the humans' example. Jack Morgan looked out at the stars from Avalon's bridge. He thought of Earth, of the lives saved, and of the bond forming between humans and Valari. "Perhaps the galaxy will change," he whispered. "Perhaps life can be protected without fear, and perhaps compassion is the strongest weapon of all." The Valari, once broken and abandoned, now looked toward the future with hope. Lysara addressed her people. "We have survived because someone chose to protect us. We have learned that courage is more than weapons and strength is more than numbers. The galaxy may have cast us out, but humanity has given us a home." Children laughed in the corridors. Pilots practiced in the docking bays, and engineers repaired ships with care and focus. The station was alive, full of life, hope, and determination. Humans and Valari had fought side by side, and together they had survived against impossible odds. Terran watched the humans at work. "They are fragile, yes," he said, "but their spirit, it cannot be broken." "That is true strength," Lisa smiled at him. "You have seen it, and now you carry it with you." Captain Lysara looked at the stars above the moon. "We will go forward together," she said. "We will explore, rebuild, and protect, and we will never forget the ones who chose to save us." Jack Morgan watched Avalon and the Valari working together, and he felt a quiet pride. "The galaxy may have cast them out," he said softly, "but humanity took them in, and that is something no one can ever take away." The Valari and humans celebrated quietly. Some repaired ships, some trained, and some simply rested, enjoying the safety that had been hard-won. Outside, the stars remained cold and distant, but Avalon glowed with life, warmth, and hope. Messages arrived from other systems, expressing admiration and surprise. Humanity's actions had shown that courage and compassion could inspire not only a single species, but an entire galaxy. The Valari, once abandoned, were now free to rebuild, to grow, and to explore. And humans, with their creativity, determination, and care, had proven that even the smallest species could make the greatest difference. Captain Lysara spoke to Terran and Nira. Remember this day. Remember that strength is not only in weapons or technology. It is in the will to protect, to help, and to care. Humanity has shown us that. And now we must carry it forward. Terran smiled. I understand now. Courage and compassion. That is what will guide us. Nira laughed, running to join the human children. I feel safe, she said. For the first time, I feel safe. Jack Morgan looked at the moon below and then at the stars above. This is only the beginning, he said softly. But it is a beginning worth fighting for. The Valarian humans had survived the Union's threat, but more importantly, they had proven a lesson to the galaxy. Strength was not only in fleets or weapons. Strength was in courage, in compassion, in the choice to act for life even when the odds were impossible. Humanity had taken in the abandoned and broken, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be strong. And as Avalon glowed with the quiet hum of life, both human and Valari looked toward the future, ready to explore, protect, and survive together. The galaxy might have cast them out, but humanity had given them hope, safety, and a home, and that home, filled with courage, care, and determination, would stand as a beacon for all who sought refuge, proving that life, no matter how fragile, was always worth defending.